Good morning, everyone. Let's begin with an update on the domestic and international markets. Yesterday, Indian markets closed positive. Nifty closed positive by 1.17% and Sensex also closed positive by 1.14%, while the FTSE closed negative by 1.48%. Today, Dow Jones futures are trading positive by 0.14% and the Hang Seng is trading positive by 0.91%. Currently, GIFT Nifty is trading negative by 0.62%, indicating a negative start for our Indian markets. Crude oil is trading negative by 1.73% at $83.94 per barrel. Meanwhile, in the bond market, both US and Indian bond yields are trading positive in the opening session. Now, moving on to the news update. India's automobile sector recorded a landmark performance in February 2026, with total retail vehicle sales surging 25.6% year-on-year to 24.09 lakhs unit, according to the Federation of Automobile Dealers Association. Notably, 5 out of 6 vehicle categories achieved their highest ever February retail volumes, highlighting strong demand momentum. Among the segments, tractors led the growth with a 36.35 rise, reflecting stronger rural liquidity after good crops outcomes. Commercial vehicle sales increased 28.89% to 1,820 units, supported by infrastructure activity and e-commerce logistics demand. Meanwhile, passenger vehicles grew 26.12% to 3,94,768 units, and the two-wheelers rose 25% to 17 lakh units, driven by strong rural and urban demand. Rural markets were particularly strong, with passenger vehicle sales growing 34.21%, while improved supply-demand balance reduced inventory levels to 27 to 29 days, closer to the industry's ideal level. This growth benefits several auto companies such as Bajaj Auto, TVS Motor Company, Hero MotoCorp, Tata Motors, Mahindra & Mahindra, Maruti Suzuki, Ashok Leyland, and Escort Kubota, among others. Looking ahead, over 75% of dealers expect continued growth in March, supported by rural demand, new launches, and infrastructure-linked fleet expansion, indicating sustained momentum in India's auto industry. So the stocks mentioned above, except Bajaj Auto and M&M Limited, are not in our course, so we maintain a neutral view on them. And for the today's investment idea, we recommend Varun Beverages Limited with a target price of Rs 533, having a potential upside of 16.6% from the current market price of Rs 446. That's it from the fundamental team. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So on yesterday, Nifty starts the session on the positive note and traded within the narrow range during the first half session. However, a decisive breakout in the second half triggered a recovery toward the 24,850 level before settling the day at 24,765 with gains of more than 1%. On the derivative front, fresh call put writing was observed at the 24,500 and 600 strike, which had witnessed call writing in the previous session, indicating it the zone as above our area between bulls and bears. Sustaining the zone signal an improvement in market segment and paved the way toward the 20,000 mark, which remain a significant resistance due to major call Y buildups. ATM options highway witnessed some decline and PCI remained at the 0.92 level. For today, one take a credit spread with the selling the 24,500 put option with the hedge of 300 points. The overall spread comes with the inflow of 58 to 62 points. On the upside, stop loss remain at the 90, while the targets are 10. Bank Nifty had the upside resistance at the 59,500 level, or immediate resistance at the 60,000 level, while the downside has a immediate support at the 58,800 level. So that's all from the derivative. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So it's Friday, our weekly webinar day at 4 p.m.
we connect to talk about the weekly outlook for the next week, means how the markets behave during the week and how one should position themselves during the next week, especially in the Nifty index, banking index sectors to focus on, sectors to avoid, stocks to focus. Everything will cover. Uh, the important aspect is that this webinar is largely meant for our clients so that they can prepare themselves. They have first-hand view on, like, how the markets are, and basis that they can align their positions. So please make sure that we share the webinar link, which is there in the chat box and over email also with clients. All they need to do is just to register themselves and they'll receive the joining details. So देखिए, इस वेबिनार का मेन पर्पस यही है कि नेक्स्ट वीक के लिए कैसे प्रिपेयर करना है. तो 4 बजे हम कनेक्ट करते हैं, तो अपने क्लाइंट के साथ जरूर शेयर करिए ये वेबिनार का लिंक. और सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट ये रहेगा कि इस तरीके की वॉलेटाइल सिनेरियो में एक ओवरव्यू मिल जाएगा कि किस तरीके से इंडेक्स में ट्रेड करना है, किस तरीके से कौन से लेवल्स पे फोकस करना है, कौन से सेक्टर्स पे फोकस करना है. ये सारी चीजें हम इसमें कवर करेंगे. साथ ही साथ Q&A होगा. कोई भी सवाल होगा उनका पोस्ट वेबिनार, वो हम डिस्कस करेंगे और हेल्प करेंगे टू एश्योर दैट they are sitting on the side, the correct positioning when it comes to the next week. Now coming to the market outlook, yesterday it was a volatile session due to Sensex expiry, and largely the tone was sideways. But in the final hour, we saw sharp uptick on the news that Iran is considering negotiation, but it turned out to be just an initial update. Still, the situation is not escalating, but at the same time, there is hardly any sign of de-escalation also. And that's the reason why we are seeing selling pressure emerging at the higher levels. So 24,600, the strong resistance area, we could manage to surpass, but holding above the same is going to be critical ahead. If Nifty manages to sustain above this level on the closing basis in today's session also, then probably we might see an attempt of recovery towards 24,800, 25,000 zone. Otherwise, selling pressure may re-emerge with 24,500, 24,300 being the support zone. Among the sectors, banking is currently hovering around 100 EMA mark. So it's a critical support zone. We may see select banking counters witnessing rebound, but the strength lies with pharma and metals. So pharma and metal is something that you should be focusing on for the long side, and rest of the sectors selectively we may find opportunities on both long and short side. तो देखिए अभी का जो सिनेरियो है कि अपडेट्स पे बेसिकली ग्लोबल अपडेट्स क्या आ रहे हैं वॉर रिलेटेड, उस पे रिएक्शन है. तो कल जो फाइनल आवर में जो रिएक्शन आया था, रिकवरी आई थी, वो भी उसी बेसिस पे आया था कि ईरान की तरफ से एक अपडेट आया था कि कंसिडर कर सकते हैं वो नेगोशिएशन अगर उनको कोई बेटर डील मिलती है तो. बट ओवरनाइट जिस तरीके से डेवलपमेंट्स हुई हैं वो अभी भी वही दिखा रही है कि ये कंटिन्यूएशन में ही रहेगा. विक्स डेफिनेटली कूल ऑफ हुई है कल के सेशन में, विच इज़ अ मेजर फैक्टर, बट अभी भी हाईलाइट अपना एविएटेड लेवल पे ही है. मींस 17-18 का जोन इंडिया विक्स के लिए वो अभी भी हायर लेवल ही है. तो जब तक फर्दर कूल ऑफ ना देखें, 24,600 के ऊपर सस्टेनेंस ना देखें ऑन द क्लोजिंग बेसिस फॉर एटलीस्ट 1-2 सेशंस, तब तक रिस्क रहेगा डाउन साइड का, यहाँ पे कि 24,500 और 24,300 अभी इमीडिएट सपोर्ट्स हैं. तो इंडेक्स में अभी सेल ऑन राइज का ही टोन है, बट सेक्टर स्पेसिफिक फार्मा और मेटल जहाँ पे स्ट्रेंथ दिख रही है, बाकी सेक्टर्स में दोनों साइड पे ये अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं, तो वन शुड प्लान अकॉर्डिंगली. मिड कैप स्मॉल कैप में अगेन कल एक रीबाउंड जरूर आया था, बट वो कितना सस्टेन करता है दैट डिपेंड्स ऑन कि इंडेक्स की किस तरीके की पोजीशनिंग है, तो वहां पे भी अभी रिस्क रहेगा। सेलेक्टिव मिड कैप्स कंपैरेटिवली बेटर हैं, वहीं पे अपना फोकस एरिया होगा फॉर लॉन्ग ट्रेड्स। कीपिंग इन market outlook in mind, the first recommendation that we have for the day. So MCX, as you can see on the chart itself, is showing strength amid this volatility, means it's holding above its short-term averages and formed a base. So here one can look for buying opportunity in MCX in the range of 2550, 2555 with stop at 2460 and positional target of 2730.
So the next stock for the day is GLENMARK. So pharma counters are showing strength amid this market corrective tone, and GLENMARK is among the steady performer. Recently, it witnessed a breakout from a trend continuation pattern and has been holding near the breakout zone, taking support of its short-term averages. So the stock is expected to perform well given this chart structure, and one can buy between 2100 to 2110. Keep a stop at 2040 and a target of 2230. And the last stock for the day is GMR Airport. So GMR is a steady performer, maintaining its rising structure above 200 EMA. The stock recently tested its long-term average and rebounded from same, showing recovery after this profit taking. Intraday price action suggests a near-term up move towards its swing high. So one can consider long between 97 to 98 with a stop at 94 and a target of 104. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So yesterday we saw gold prices falling amid rising US Treasury yields on concerns that rising energy prices will trigger the inflation factor. But today's key support for CME, gold and silver are around 5085 and $82.7 respectively. And technically speaking, as long as we see prices holding above the support, that is mainly after the critical releases. So overall trend will be positive. For energy counters, crude oil was strong in line with intensifying tensions across key shipping areas in the Middle East. All in all, maintain buy on dips and strong WTI support lies near the $77.5 mark. For natural gas, the trend is sideways to positive and expected range is 265 to 283. Today's non-farm payrolls report is critical for the markets, especially with gold and silver currently sensitive to geopolitical tensions in the Middle East and shifting Fed's expectation. Now markets are expecting a cooling labor market compared to January's surprise strength. So समराइजिंग गोल्ड और सिल्वर में कल हमने मार्केट में फॉल देखा ट्रेजरी यील्ड्स बढ़ने वजह से, खासकर ट्रेजरी यील्ड बढ़ गए क्योंकि इन्फ्लेशन कंसर्न्स थोड़ा ज्यादा हो गए थे, चूंकि एनर्जी प्राइसेस हाई चल रही है, इस वजह से मार्केट को थोड़ा कंसर्न था, ऐसे में प्रॉफिट टेकिंग देखने को मिला। अभी भी चूंकि जियोपॉलिटिकल टेंशंस एस्केलेटेड है और जो की पाइवट सपोर्ट के ऊपर ही ट्रेड कर रहे हैं सीएमई गोल्ड और सिल्वर, तो ऐसे में टोन पॉजिटिव अभी भी लग रहा है। और आज जब तक खासकर की रिलीज के बाद सीएमई स्पॉट गोल्ड 5085 के ऊपर ही ट्रेड करेगा अगर, या सीएमई स्पॉट सिल्वर $82.7 के ऊपर ही सस्टेन होता है, तो इसमें हम ओवरऑल ट्रेंड पॉजिटिव ही देख सकते हैं। आज जो है इंपॉर्टेंट नॉन फार्म पेरोल्स डेटा रहेगा और मार्केट इसमें फोकस करके चलेगी। एक्सपेक्टेशन है 58,000 से 65,000 जॉब्स का। ये जो पिछले महीने से 1,30,000 से 1,30,000 था, तो अभी देखा जाए काफी इस पे ड्रॉप है, तो ये भी एक पॉजिटिव टोन है। लेकिन आगे क्या हो सकता है, अगर 1,00,000 के ऊपर ही का नंबर आता है तो ऐसे में मार्केट इसको नेगेटिवली रिएक्ट करेगा। अगर 40,000 के नीचे अगर हम फिगर देखते हैं तो ऐसे में ये पॉजिटिव हो जाएगा गोल्ड के लिए। और अगर 60,000 और 80 या 85,000 के बीच नंबर्स आते हैं तो ऐसे में रेंज बाउंड रहेगा। और लेकिन इसमें जो पाइवट जो हमने मेंशन किया, चांसेस काफी हाई है कि पाइवट के ऊपर ही गोल्ड सस्टेन होगा। की इकोनॉमिक डेटा ऑन रेडार, retail sales, unemployment rate, average hourly earnings, non-farm payrolls, and the oil rig count data. And on the recommendation side, wait for a gap down, wait for a consolidation in crude oil after a gap down opening. Preferred initiation range is 70 to 82, 70 to 90. That is, the key factor is it should hold above the 70 to 75 support level. So initiation range 70 to 80 to 90 buy. So stop loss 7230 for a target of 7400. That's all from the commodity desk.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.